Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the Public Works meeting of April 30th, 2025 to order. Grimsby is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Haudenosaunee, the Haudenosaunee, and Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The Regional Municipality of Niagara and Grimsby stand with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. As we begin, are there any disclosures of interest? Seeing none, we can move to the approval of the agenda. Can I have a mover and seconder to get the Councillor Korstanji, seconded by Member Smink? Are there any questions from members of the committee about the agenda? Seeing none, resolved that the agenda for April 30th, 2025 Public Works Committee meeting be approved. All in favor? That's carried. All right, can I get a mover and seconder to receive the previous minutes? Member Rady. Are there any questions from members of the committee about the previous minutes? Seeing none, resolve that the minutes of the March 2026-2025 Public Works Committee meeting be approved. All in favor? That is carried. All right, we have no delegations and no consent reports. So the first discussion report tonight is about the Grimsby Decorative Banner Program. Can I get a mover and seconder to get that on the floor, please? Councillor Devoli, seconded by Councillor Korstanji. Brandon, I think this is it Brandon that's doing this? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this report comes out of a request from the Grimsby branch of the Royal Canadian Legion. The Legion had asked the town to consider renaming the section of Clark Street between Christie and Ontario to Veterans Way. The Legion had also asked us to consider allowing them to install decorative banners on that same section of road in an effort to commemorate local veterans. So as far as the signage, the town and the region are in support of installing commemorative signage on the roadway, denoting it as Veterans Way. This commemorative signage would be added above the sign for the legal street name, similar to the picture that we've provided in the report. So it's still, legal name is still Clark Street, but we're commemorating it as Veterans Way. As far as the banners are concerned, we took the opportunity of this request to develop a formal street banner program that could be implemented not only on Veterans Way, but also in the areas of other areas of town. I just wanted to thank the Legion for their patience as staff worked through this process. I'm sure they would probably have liked to see the report come a little bit sooner, but it did take us some time to develop the various documents and procedures that would allow us to support their request and as well as the larger context for the townwide program. So we specifically identified 3 areas in addition to the Veterans Way where we felt the banners might be appropriate. So namely the downtown core, Grimsby on the Lake, and there's some existing banners on the Christie Street Bridge over the CN rail line. And there is an appendix to the report that shows the proposed banner locations. So the intent is the Public Works would support the procurement of the necessary hardware and facilitate the installation of the banners. And then we would be handing over to our community services team to manage the actual programming of the banners from there. As noted in the report, we're recommending a capital budget of approximately, well, actually 80,000 be established to allow us to implement the program in 2025. And we're recommending this be funded from the Public Works Asset Reserve. We're recommending, again, as we noted in the report, the Legion to cover some of the costs associated with the banners on Clark Street, on Veterans Way. This would include costs associated with the production of the actual banners, cost of their removal, and the costs associated with applicable permits. Total costs to the Legion would be around $5,200. The intent is that the town and Legion would share access to the banner arms here, so staff are therefore recommending that the town cover the costs of the actual banner arms and the installation costs. If council approves, we would need to procure a vendor to produce the banners, provide the banner arms, install, maintain, and remove them. And we're hoping with council approval, we'd be able to coordinate this in time for us to install the banners this summer. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
All right, any questions for Mr. Wortman? Okay, Member Spink?
Bear with me, I got a little confused on what was existing, what was going to be new, and what was covered by the $80,000. It may have been in there, but there were a lot of numbers, and I don't do as well with the numbers. So I knew that the banners were existing on Christie, but you're talking about, on Christie, over the CN.
Yeah.
So you're going to replace those banner arms so that they're consistent in all 4 locations? Yes? Okay, and the $80,000 is just the banner arms, totaling number of something, yeah? And putting those up. And then are you talking about a vendor being the one who's going to put up and take down all of these each time? Even if it's something that's seasonal? Maybe you could just go into a little bit more detail. I know, and there was a question in there, through you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. I understand where you're going, and I'm sorry, I realize people can't see me nodding my head, so I'll verbalize my answer. So the first question was related to how many. I don't know if I have the exact number. I could look that up to you, look for you. But essentially, the program or the budget that we're asking for is intended to cover installation of all new arms at the various locations. The 6 existing ones on Christie Street, we might be able to reuse them, but the bulk of the purchase will be relating to the downtown is probably the most, Grimsby on the Lake second, and then Veterans Way would be third, and then there's 6 on Christie Street. So included in our estimate is the cost of producing 1 set of banners. Again, we've estimated that cost, but obviously we have to go out for procurement and see where that lies. And on top of that, obviously, we don't have the capabilities to install things at height like that. You need a boom truck, so we would have to hire a vendor to go out and install, maintain them if there's issues with them, and then take them down at the end of the year. So the initial capital cost is for us to produce all the hardware, procure all of the hardware, as well as procure the banners for a single set of banners. Beyond the first year, I think, I don't know if I said this in the report, but we'd be looking at the end of the year, assessing what this program, how the initial implementation go, what do we foresee as operating costs going forward, and we would come back to council as part of the budget process to determine what operating costs would be needed going forward to keep the program going. Hopefully that answers the question.
Okay, I'm just going by the drawings, there may be 40 to 50 in total, something like that. So we're talking about just 1 banner going up at the beginning of April through the summer. So it's not something that's going to change over with different, happening on the 40 and then a different, kind of thing. Is kind of what I'm hearing from you. I am concerned about the ongoing costs. And also just it's kind of interesting that Community Services is going to be doing the, getting all of the requests and implementing the program through it. I do understand that. I was a little concerned about us just trying to decide the validity, all of those things, considering the citizen members are knowledgeable perhaps about the public works, but not more general town aims like tourism or, I don't know, town morale or anything like that. So I don't know if there's a question in there. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. I know where you're going with this, and hopefully I can answer some questions. So I guess the first question was around how often they're going to be changed. I think just through initial conversations, we're probably looking at, I think what we've seen from other organizations or other municipalities, they do them twice a year, or change them once a year, or maybe once in the summer, once in the winter kind of thing. I'm not using the right seasons, but twice a year. Again, our proposal is purchase one set of banners for this year, not multiple sets of banners. But if we end up finding we get prices that we potentially expand it beyond that. But the second part was in terms of who is programming it. Again, through conversations with our staff, we felt that, and Director Sweeney, we felt it was probably more appropriate, more in line with their community services and what they do in terms of community services, for them to manage the program. To clarify, in terms of the town-wide program, the intent is it's a program that's going to be managed by the town, with the majority of the banners being town, like we're putting the hardware up and we're going to be programming the banners. There is provisions within that procedure to allow others to approach the town, similar to what the Legion is doing, to request, hey, can we put banners up on these areas at these times, kind of thing. And the report outlines what fees would be associated with those type of requests. So permit fees, the cost for a banner if we were to produce them, and installation and maintenance costs. So so I think I hopefully answered, all three of them.
Councillor Devoli?
Thank you, Chair. I have, I'll say, three questions, and in no particular order. In the report on page 4, it says that the region restricts during winter season, and they don't seem to like banners on their roads during winter season. But on the other hand, so I'm a bit confused by their stance, because we do put up Christmas lights on the street lights, which are on the regional roads as well. So is it just the banners they don't, is it the banner, like the fabric type banners that they're not, that they want to restrict, but we'll still be able to put up Christmas decor that's lit up going forward with this?
To be honest with you, sorry, through Mr. Chair, I don't know if I've got to that level of conversation of the reasoning why. My understanding is that what is their policy. So I think, as I've kind of talked about in the report, I think the intent here is, let's put them up, let's see how they weather. If they're not whipping around in the wind, which I expect they won't, based on what the policy of their standards that we're bringing forward, I think that opens us up to the conversation with the region about, can we extend those windows beyond into the winter season. So, and in the other case, Grimsby on the Lake might be a good candidate for us to kind of pilot, because Winston Road is a municipal roadway and we own the poles, so we could potentially pilot that as an area just to see how they hold up, which then could help maybe in our conversations with the region, as we move forward, to see if they'd be willing to open that window beyond into the winter season.
And then my second question has to do with the fact that we're about to, of course, I'll say, demolish downtown, including the streetlight poles and everything else. So when we go to make this purchase, these banner arms, I assume we'll be taking off the streetlights, storing them, and then when everything is put back, we'll reattach them again at that time?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. So a very good question. Actually, when on the implementation of this, I think we debated as a team whether or not we wait to put these banners up until after the construction is completed. But as we've worked through, the standards and the policy for this, the banner arms that we're proposing to use are installed with strapping, so they're not they're affixed to the pole in a temporary way, so you don't have to buy a specific pole that works with these banners. You can go that route, but the ones that we're proposing don't. So this would allow us to put them up this year. If we are taking the poles down next year for the reconstruction, we can take the banner arms down and put them back up at the end of the year. So the idea is we can get a year out of it, which I thought would be a nice gesture to the town, to the downtown businesses, seeing that we're going to come in and disrupt them next year. So I thought it'd be an opportunity for us, if we can, to do it this year, and as a nice gesture for, we're going to help beautify the town a little bit before we tear it up and then beautify it again.
I hear you on that. My last question has to do with a concern that I have voiced more than once, especially around the board table of our Downtown Business Improvement Association. And my concern there has always been that the actual area that is covered by our bylaw is much larger than that core between Christie and Elm. And so now I have that same lens on when I'm looking at your maps and where we have the little green flags and how far they go. And my concern always is that there are businesses who are part of the downtown improvement area, but don't get included. And there's no money being spent on them, even though they are contributing through their levy into the DIA pot. And so I guess I'm here to be an advocate for those. And so when I look now at this map, and I'm looking at the map of Main Street that you had included with the report, it ends about where the Esso station is, I guess, and yet the downtown area continues on all the way to the Grimsby Shopping Plaza there. And so, yeah, says the finance person who likes to watch the numbers, is it worth extending this program so we make sure we capture everything in the downtown area that's covered by our bylaw?
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, so I can maybe walk you through my thinking on how I came up with the limit. So essentially looking at, I shouldn't tell you these details, but looking at Google Maps, getting an idea of where all the decorative poles were, and using our GIS information to say, okay, here's where we could start that program. So I think beyond those limits that you were talking about, they go to a non-decorative pole, more standard street lights. So could we? Yes. I guess my initial thought was, let's focus on the areas where the decorative existing poles are. That doesn't mean that in the future we can't expand the program, or that we're not going to replace or provide more, what do you call it, decorative features beyond those limits. I think that ultimate long-term goal is for us to expand our what do you call it, complete streets features beyond just the core. So that's kind of the rationale I came up with, is here's the decorative poles. Someone had put these decorative poles in these places at some point of time for a reason. I'm just going to follow that logic for now, but I am certainly willing, if we want to evaluate further and expand that, I can evaluate that as a team, but that was our initial approach anyways.
And I think it's always okay to start with an idea and look at a certain area, but I would really encourage you to consider expanding it in the next year or more as we go farther out. Because all those businesses, come along Elm and wrap around. They're on Christie. They go down farther down Main Street as it turns into Livingston, right? They go down Ontario Street, following north. And I always feel like so much of the downtown business improvement area and their activities are geared towards the retailers in the core area there, right? And that they really need to expand their activities out farther. So I would like to be consistent as I sit here at the council table and say, we need to be consistent, and we will show that we want to take care of all those businesses. And I realize we can't always afford to do things all at once, but if we could plan for phase 2 in the next year and then phase 3 or whatever it takes to expand it, I think that would be good.
Thank you, Councillor Davoli. Any other questions? The other, sorry, go ahead.
My really quick count was 63.
I had roughly 64 to 66, so it was a little bit rounded.
Okay, I just want to correct myself.
I'm glad we nailed that. So my question's regarding the need for a boom truck. We've had banners in the past. Is this continuing the same policy that we've had in the past of outsourcing the banner installation? Or how did we deal with it in the past? Because this isn't, the banner program is not new. We've had banners up in Grimsby for as long as I've been alive. So why are we changing, or are we keeping it the same way, I guess is the first question.
Sorry, to you, Mr. Chair. I don't know specifically how we handled it in the past, but I can't see our team or town or communities, whether it's Public Works or Community Services, doing it ourselves because we didn't have the equipment to do it. So my guess is, and I can verify that, is that we've always hired a contractor to do that work. I'm pretty sure we use a contractor, put up the seasonal decorations, and like streetlight maintenance, we have to farm that out, to contract that out, because again, we don't have the proper equipment to work at height. So yeah, so my understanding is we've always done that. I don't know, I can verify that and get back to you just to confirm that.
Yeah, if you could, because then it's a continuation of existing practice rather than something new. In one case, it's a change. In another case, it's continuing something we've done before. So it's kind of different in the presentation. That's the reason I bring it up. So if you could find out and get back to us. And I agree with Councillor DeVoli about expanding the area. The DIA does start at Mark's Work Warehouse, and maybe that should be or the parade route, something like that, where it is the entirety of what we think of as the downtown, so that way we're not leaving out. And, in defense of the area, the Mark's Work Warehouse, the Grimsby Square Plaza, they pay a lot of taxes into the town of Grimsby, so should be considered as part of the DIA as well when we think of this. Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, thank you to you, Mr. Chair. So I think, again, I think based on the success of the program, hopefully I think it'll be successful, but I can envision this being expanded to along Livingston Avenue. We are reconstructing, or the region is reconstructing, Casablanca Boulevard in the foreseeable future. So as part of that project, we have allotted money budgeted for additional streetscaping improvements. So again, I think that's a gateway feature that we want to maybe use that as an area to program with banners. So I can see this rolling out to other areas, and so by no means are we, I think if it's successful, anything that we can do to expand it would be good. So I hear you, and we'll certainly keep the various areas in mind as we move forward.
Thank you. And the last thing I was going to say was, based on the cost, I know that we want to sort of beautify the downtown as soon as possible, but I am always concerned about spending money to put something up that we take down right away. Nothing bugs me more as a taxpayer than seeing a road torn up, repaved, and then dug up for, and it doesn't happen that often, but this is just one of those cases where if we know we're going to be taking them down, if the cost is not huge, then let's do it. But if it's something that we think we should just wait a year and save the money, or 2 years and save the money, then I'll trust your judgment on it. Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Chair. So I think I think you nailed it right. It's not a lot of money. So in terms of the installation and takedown costs, so we're going to have to hire a contractor to put the arms up and to put the banners up. We're going to have to hire a contractor to take the banners down. We can take the arms down at the same time. When we have to put the banners up next time, we're going to put the arms up and the banner. So there might be a slight cost because it takes a little bit longer, but generally we're trying to make it sure that we're not hey, do the arms now, and then come back a week later and do the banners, and then taking, so we're trying to be cognizant of that. The intent was hopefully we get a contractor that can do all of it, and then we're dealing with one source, and it helps with the organizing and scheduling and that kind of thing.
Thank you. Councillor Davoli?
Just a quick question, if I could, and I know it seems like motherhood and apple pie, but we're buying from a Canadian vendor? Canadian steel, Canadian aluminum, whatever these are made in?
So we've specified a product. We will be putting it out for open procurement. So I don't know where that product will ultimately be sourced from because we haven't done the procurement yet, if that helps. I am cognizant, or we will be cognizant of the policies that we've established through our procurement and make sure that we're compliant with that.
Member Murphy?
Just like to, if you could address the Legion's request to rename Clark Street. I noticed in the letters that it says because of the region, you can't do that, but is there a way around that in a way?
Yeah, so just to clarify, we are proposing not to rename Clark Street, but to add a commemorative sign. I think there's a picture in the report that shows, I think they did it in very similar, was it St. Catharines or Hamilton, where it's, I think it shows James Street, and then up above it, it's the Veterans Way. The reason why we weren't able to support renaming Clark Street is, my understanding, is that there's, under the emergency 911 policies, having a similar, they try to get away from having a similar street name in different municipalities. So having an Ontario street in Beamsville, Grimsby, St. Catharines can be confusing to drivers and 911, so they try to avoid that. So that was my understanding of the reasoning why we couldn't support it. So this was our, we felt it was a reasonable alternative to commemorate the street.
And just to accentuate the positive, I think that the signage above the road sign also will be a way to tell people that the Legion is right there. It's kind of, it's almost an advertisement for the Legion. So I think it's, while renaming the street is great, the signage above it hopefully will be an arrow for people to frequent the Legion and support it. So I think it's a win-win this way. Seeing no further questions, I have a resolution. Resolved that report DPW 2507 titled Grimsby Decorative Banner Program dated April 30th, 2025 be received, and that the Public Works Committee recommends council support the following. The Royal Canadian Legion's request for commemorative street signage on Clark Street, the Royal Canadian Legion's request for installation of veterans banners on Clark Street, and that a budget of $80,000 be established to support the Grimsby Decorative Banner Program with funds allocated from the Public Works Department Asset Rehabilitation and Renewal Reserve. All in favor? I have a mover, Councillor Davoli, seconded by Councillor Gristanji. All in favor? That's approved. Carried. Thank you. Last discussion report is the Public Works Department update for spring of 2025. Can I get a mover and seconder to get that on the floor? Member Smink, and seconded by Member Rady. Brandon, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this report, we've done this, I think, 2 or 3 times now, to just bring a report forward to committee and council, just to update committee and council on the status of various projects. So included in the report, we've provided in the first appendix just a summary or an outline of what the core responsibilities of the department are, just to help understand and to understand that we don't just do capital projects. So it's to give some limelight to the other operation people as well. I just wanted to share that. So, and then the second part of the report is the actual our capital and operating project list. So. I realize that there's a lot of information in there. I'm happy to take any questions. I didn't think it would be any benefit for me to walk through every project, and so maybe I'll leave it to, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to speak to them. We'll
start with Member Rady.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Item 87, the Pavement Coalition Index. So I realize, I think it's a calculation of how much traffic goes through, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I know we did a Grimsby Beach land use study a few years back, and we identified there were some issues with the roads. That, all joking, you know, I think they were paved in 1895 around the same time the town, yeah. Having said that, we have one sidewalk down there, right, on Park Road North, which means everybody's walking on the streets, and we have thousands of visitors a year, and the roads are in really rough shape. How many years do we put coal patch down just to watch it get washed away before we fix this? Is it on the radar at all, or is, because I'm looking, I recognize a lot of the street. You're getting close. I see Ontario and I see Maple. But seriously, we have some safety issues down there, and I know you're probably aware we had a road washout this week on 3rd Avenue between the weather and construction on 2 homes that are going on, pumping their sump pumps down the road. It's a wonder someone didn't get hurt badly because it was a foot deep in places. So between the pavement conditions on a road where you have thousands of visitors coming to this town, and we're going to be promoting tourism this fall because of our plowing. Could you speak to this at all, Brandon? If you could, I'd appreciate it.
Sure, thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. So in terms of, maybe I can walk you through a little bit more how we evaluate roads. So you mentioned the PCI score. What that stands for is a Performance Condition Index. So essentially, we have our roads reviewed, I think, every 5 years or so, all 5 or 6 years. All of the roads are driven, evaluated, and given a ranking score of between 0 and 100. Within those scores, we identify what we consider a very good condition, a good condition, a poor condition, and a really poor condition. It may be some other in there. Essentially, we use that evaluation as one method for determining or developing our schedule for rehabilitation. So typically, it's based on, we would base our resurfacing program on kind of a worst to first, or worst to best basis. So we're hitting the worst streets first. But we also take into consideration things like how much traffic is there, how much pedestrian traffic is there, and whether we have to do any underground works. So if we're digging up the water main 5 years from now, I'm not saying that is the case there, or we have to replace the sanitary sewer and do that. We don't want to pave the road and then have to, what do you call it, dig it up again and repave it. So I want to be, so in terms of the timing of that, we had a similar inquiry come in by email, and I crafted a response. And so it's at the top of my head in terms of where things are at. So I think we looked at the score yesterday on in the Grimsby Beach area, and it was in the high 60s, low 70s. So that puts us as maybe you wouldn't agree, but it's in the, I think, a good state in terms of the PCI score. So I can't give you a definitive date as to when that road is going to be paved, but I also can assure you that our team, in accordance with provincial maintenance standards, we patrol the road on a regular basis, and if there's any issues in terms of deficiencies, that we'll address them. At the same time, I would encourage, if there's any inquiries from residents about specific areas that they feel that have been missed or need to be addressed, please send it to our team, and we'll take them out to look at it and see what we can do to improve it. In terms of the question about pedestrian traffic and lack of sidewalks, as part of our transportation master plan, we have specifically focused in the Grimsby Beach area as one of the areas where we wanted to figure out how do we deal with tour buses, how do we deal with additional pedestrian traffic, active transportation. So that is on our radar for through the transportation master plan. What are the long-term goals for that area that we try to accomplish? So again, I can't say that we're going to build a sidewalk next year, but we're looking at Well, and that's part of the issue too, is that area is very constrained, and so all of that gets layered into our evaluation, and we'll try to keep the Grimsby Beach residents happy.
Member Spink, I think you had some questions?
Did nobody else have any questions?
Settle in.
Okay.
Make yourself comfortable.
Let's start with our favorite. Project B1, the downtown water main and complete street improvement. And of course, we need to get the water main replaced by October 2026. That's next year now. So I just wanted a little bit more of a detailed update. If we have a 60% design, if we haven't, I believe we will be having another PIC, just when that would be, and if that will include construction staging.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. I'm not sure if I got into that level of detail in the report, but essentially we're working through the initial stages of the design right now. I can't say we're at 60%. We're probably more in the 30% range. Obviously, we know what constraints we have with in terms of our timing for the funding, and we are pushing to deliver that project designed and ready for tender hopefully this fall. Understanding that, again, that we know where our timelines lie, we're putting pressure on as that's our priority project, and I can see Marvin smiling over there because I probably say that to him every day. So we're doing our best to keep that moving, and so in terms of public engagement, I'm not sure if we've set the next engagement phase, but in our communication strategy that we have been developing, there is an engagement component where involvement with communications with the stakeholders at the appropriate time. I can certainly give that information and lay it out in more detail for you if that's needed. Just on the other side of things, just in terms of the collaboration, maybe it gives me opportunity to speak to this. So we have been meeting with what we call, I think it's a construction liaison task force. Maybe I'm getting the acronym or the name wrong, but essentially made up with members of the BIA, working in partnership with members of staff of the town to open a line of communication between each other as we move through this project. So actually very, what do you call it? Impressed is not the right word. Not surprised. It's been a good experience so far. I think we've really built some relationships. I think we all understand what pressures that we have to deal with, and it's been a good opportunity for us to get to know each other as we move into what will be a difficult time as we move through the construction. So,
I'm glad to hear that. I'm just trying to identify in my head any major problems that would delay the completion, and major concerns from the Downtown Business Association would be one, an issue that arises at the second PIC, and I was kind of anticipating potential construction staging, determining whether the road was going to be closed. The third thing that had come to my mind was lack of competitive bids being able to be received for the construction. I hope that the word is trying to get out that this project is coming, and we'll be putting out the RFP in the fall. I know it's your priority as well. I'm just reminding everybody. Can I go to my next question? Great. I sort of had a group of questions that had to do with the timing of projects. There were several projects that were on parallel routes that I was a little concerned that if some were delayed slightly, we would have 2 or 3 parallel routes being affected at the same time. My general question is somebody tracking this? I love a GIS with it marked, and then it can be modified, and it'll come up, and we can see that. The other sort of timing question that's associated with this is the Dorchester Nellis. I'm really hoping the construction's going to take place in the summer when the school is not open. So just in terms of timing, if you could address that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. So in terms of the, if you have specific projects, I can speak to the concerns about the parallel routes. I can assure you that Marvin and the team have the pretty maps that show where the projects are, and we've also layered in regional projects as well, so which brings a whole other level of complexity to how we're managing our projects. So we're doing our best to make sure that they don't overlap, and we will continue to do our best to do that. So in terms of, oh no, that was your previous question, so I'm not going to get to that. Dorchester and Nels, yes, it went out to tender. I believe the tenders is closed. It's just in the validation of the bids right now. So expect within the next week or two, we'd be able to award that project to a contractor. The intent that the work would be done prior to the next school season. So we'd be building the sidewalk this summer and resurfacing the asphalt as well, and with the intent of having that done before the next school season. The intent.
Excellent. For B6, I see that you're going to be doing a rehabilitation on Park, and I'm sure it's Park South, not North. The Bell to Main section, it did occur to me that may have been one of, I believe that maybe last year, that was one of our in-road flexible signing concerns about speeds. And I did wonder if it was a candidate for anything more significant, permanent, if the road was being resurfaced. I know it's not being reconstructed, just resurfaced, but I did want to flag that and ask if that had been a consideration.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. So yeah, we are resurfacing Park Road. The limits are Mud to Ridge, and then from Bell Avenue Main. I think we're leaving a short portion out in relation to the potential works that the region has to do as part of the reservoir. So that's why there's a gap in the area that we are resurfacing, if I'm correct there. With respect to, I'm losing my train of thought, with respect to traffic calming, thank you. With respect to traffic calming, as you know, it's very tight road there. We can certainly look at widening it somewhat, but when you're dealing with ditches, the more you try to, as you know, expand that cross section, the more costly it gets, the more impact you're providing. So I'm not sure that's the best candidate for a traffic calming in terms of, what do you call it, a long-term investment, or we're not doing a reconstruction, we're just resurfacing. So I'm not sure that's the best candidate, but I will certainly take that away with the team and look at that. We did receive, as part of that program, we did receive some concerns with the implementation of the devices there, given that the road was narrow and there's a lack of sidewalks as well. So I think I talked about that previously, where we received some concerns about pedestrians walking on the shoulder, having to navigate around the devices. So certainly take that back with the team and look at that further and see if that's an opportunity. But again, without a full reconstruction, I don't think it makes sense, but I'm going to take a look at that and see.
Understood. I agree, the full reconstruction, probably with sidewalks, would be a better solution that could perhaps allow for a bump out or something else that would be traffic calming. The Transportation Master Plan, which is number D1, it's just a question of when we will be getting some more feedback here. Is there going to be a second PIC, and will the draft policies, for example, come to Public Works before going to Council, or will we just have one presentation?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So in terms of the, as I've outlined in the report, we are consistently working away, at that project. we anticipate that through the spring and summer of 2025 that we'll be hopefully wrapping up, coming towards the tail end of that project. We will be scheduling a public information center number 2 as part of that. Part of the, I want to say the delay, but we've had to, given that we're in the official plan process, we are looking at the growth numbers for the municipality. And as part of that official plan process, we needed those growth numbers to put into our traffic modeling to make sure that when we do our traffic master plan, that we're accommodating the future growth numbers. So there's been some, a time needed to align those two processes, official plan and the transportation master plan. So that's why I didn't want to rush it out. We didn't want to rush it out. We wanted to make sure that we got those numbers before we proceeded forward. So anyways, I'm giving a long-winded answer, but Public Information Center is coming. And in terms of the communication to council, I'm not sure I've thought that far ahead in terms of the process for to what level we would be communicating to council the policies and the procedures. At the end of the day, it all becomes a public document that you would have an opportunity to provide input on. I just haven't fleshed that out yet. So I will certainly take that away. I hear that I'm taking that's important to you, and I think I will take that back with the team. How do we appropriately communicate that to our Public Works Committee and Council? So again, the hope is this summer, or the approach is this summer, and that's kind of what we're working towards.
Just a couple more, I promise. And I'm starting to get out of my natural comfort zone, which of course is roads. Item number F5, which is the municipal shoreline. Am I understanding, it's probably just my lack of understanding, that there are some areas of town shoreline which are inaccessible because they're abutted on both sides by privately owned shoreline, and we're talking about maybe selling that shoreline? Or is it weighing that with, eventually trying to get public access to those town shorelines?
I think you nailed it. Like, this study is going to look at those areas where, there is a challenge that they may be landlocked in terms of they're in an area that we don't have access east or west because the lake is north, east or west, either side, or in the areas where there's a sliver of land between the private property and the lake. In some cases, that land is eroding and is becoming lake property, and at some point in time there is no more town land and it becomes private property. So I think what we're trying to do is evaluate all those situations and determine what is the most appropriate approach for us to deal with those different situations. That could include potentially selling. That could be it could be letting it erode. It could be providing protection. It could be enhancing access because we want to provide a pathway or something like that. So I think all the cards are on the table, and that's the intent of this, is to study that and make sure that we're making an informed decision on how we approach these lands going forward.
Thank you. I hadn't even really considered the fact that the town portion of the shoreline may disappear because of erosion. I thought it was more of a change of policy, but it's more of a condition, which is really interesting. The wastewater I&I, which is F7, which kind of brings a couple of them in together. And I know that there's, this is a pretty significant project because we're talking about a $7.4 million project. And we're at the very beginning stages, so I'm sure we'll hear more about it. It was more a question of, because I'm not aware of where Area 5 and 7 are, what affected streets are we talking about? Again, I'm thinking about coordinating this major project with other major projects. Thank you.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. So area 5 and 7, I'm looking to Marvin if I mess up, but I think it used to be called the North Ward. So the area Olive and Lake, north of that, I think Olive Street north of that. So Stewart, Whitaker, Old Orchard. Man, I'm getting pretty good at knowing some street names. Been here a long time. Are the areas affected? I believe there's an area of the Klein Mountain Road that is one of those areas that we're looking at as well. So I think that kind of nails those areas. Hopefully those areas are out of the way enough that they won't impact with the other projects. But again, certainly that's on our mind as we move forward.
Just one more for you, Mr. Chair. Item number G4, which is the modernizing water and wastewater billing. We may hear some more about this as we go through the next quarterly update. It just sort of, as a homeowner, flagged to me, is there going to be a cost to the owner to replace these, the billings, the meter watering, I guess that's what the water meter, and will that also, as well as that one-time cost, could there be an increase to what owners are billed because of this?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So the way it works is owners own the pipe up to their house, and they own the pipe beyond the meter. So we, the town, owns the meter in between. So our responsibility in providing water to them is that we meter it, so we're responsible for paying for those meters, ensuring that they're maintained. So in this project, there's, how many would you say, 2,000 or 2,200 existing meters, which are getting older, that we would replace at the town's cost, which, when we're doing this, the meters come with a new technology which allows radio frequency transmission. So basically, the old meters are these 2,200 meters now. You have to go up and you actually touch them with your pad to say, hey, here's the meter reading. In the future, we will be able to, those meters will be sending radio frequency signals saying, here's what the meter reading is. And we'll also be looking at installing I want to say towers, antennas at different areas of the town, which will allow us to read those meters more efficiently. So no cost to the owner at this time. Some of the benefits to that is we've heard from our community that I think we bill, is it every 3 months now or 4 months? So understanding that you're getting a bill every 4 months, and that bill, instead of paying $100 a month, you're getting a $400 bill. Maybe that's cheap, but so can we do reading more frequently to allow us to do more frequent billing? Is some of the intent here. So you're getting a $200 bill a month instead of a $200 bill every 2 months rather than a $400 bill every 4 months. And my numbers may be off, but that's the intent, anyways.
Thank you. Those were great questions. I wanted to, as far as the downtown water main replacement public information, if it's possible to plan it fast enough where we could include it in the happening at the 40, like whether it's a tent that provides people information, you've got an engaged audience there. You've got people that are interested in the downtown. So using the space down there or working with our community services staff to put up a tent that shares information, even if it's not a formal PIC where we're seeking feedback, but something that puts up the posters and the information that we've already got made, so that people know what's going on, that it's going to be closed down next year, but the goal is, what the goal is as far as timeline is concerned. I think it's a perfect opportunity to do that. So I don't know if that's too tight of a timeline, but if we can get something like that for the summertime, that would be great. Brandon?
Yeah, maybe I can't speak to that specific request, but in general, we're looking at opportunities for us to get the word out there. Part of this construction task force in partnership with the BAA is to look at how do we get that message out? How do we make sure people, not only during construction, but ahead of construction, plead with them, please, that under construction, we're still open for business. So how can we get that message out? And we are looking at various ways, whether it's social media, flyers, all the different ways we communicate people is kind of what we're looking towards. So I can certainly take that back to the team and see if there's an opportunity for that event. But in general, we are looking at many different opportunities for us to help out in that regard.
Yeah, thank you. That'd be terrific. And as far as the water meters is concerned, I've probably been around too long because I remember the last time we replaced them. So, what is the average lifespan of a water meter, just out of curiosity? Because, I know we replaced the radio, the tap technology was already an innovation because you didn't have to actually physically see the meter. So how long do they last?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to shoot, I think we're around 6,000 or 7,000 meters altogether, I think. 10 years ago, maybe, we did a bunch of, maybe 3,500 kind of thing that were aging. So we left 2,000 that we need to finish off. So in terms of the average life, 15 years is kind of what we shoot for. Sometimes we go beyond that, just based on, are they still reading properly? Yes, then we can push it on a little bit. So around 15 years is kind of the traditional lifespan for the meters.
Thank you. And the radio frequency metering system, it does make people feel more comfortable because despite the fact that it's a Town of Grimsby employee walking through the neighborhood, anybody going up to people's houses makes people feel uncomfortable. So I think there's a win when it comes to that as well. The comfort of knowing that there's not going to be just random strangers walking up to your house. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, just to add that there has been challenges with things like, dogs, defenses and dogs. So our meter reader will be happy that the dogs will be happy as well, that we don't have to go into close to the house now. We can read it in more efficient ways.
And the last thing I'm going to say to you is the graphs that you provided with the percentage completion. I like the visual, but now the challenge is to make those things move. It better not be like my Windows update where they just stop. So, yeah, they don't go backwards. Yeah. So I like the visual. Let's see those moving along. But thank you for the update. Thank you for the questions. Are there any other further questions for staff? Seeing none, I have a motion moved by Member Smink, seconded by Member Rady. Resolve that report DPW 2508 titled Public Works Department Update Spring 2025 dated April 30th, 2025 be received for information. All in favor? That's carried. There's no correspondence. Is there any other business? Seeing none, our next meeting of the Public Works Committee is scheduled for Wednesday, May 28th, at 6:30 p.m. Thanks, everybody. The meeting's adjourned. Have a great night. And go Habs, go.